Welcome to our debate on Politics Decoded. Today, we're tackling the provocative topic: demography is destiny. Is the increasing minority population going to be a decisive factor in determining the future of American politics, spelling victories for Democrats or a crisis for Republicans? Let's dive in and see if demography truly defines political destiny. Thank you. It's a pleasure to discuss what has become a mainstream narrative. One primary myth is that a growing minority electorate ensures Democratic victories. This is far from a given. The complexity within minority voting groups, as seen with Latinos and Black voters, often defies such simplistic predictions. Indeed, when we examine the 2024 elections, it became clear that Republicans made significant gains among Latino and Black voters. For example, Trump's appeal among young Black men and working-class Latinos shifted expectations. Could this reflect a broader shift in political alliances? Absolutely. Economic issues, cultural identity, and even perceptions about law and order contribute heavily to voting behaviors. Minorities aren't monolithic voting blocs as traditionally portrayed. For instance, Cuban Americans tend to lean conservative, unlike many Mexican Americans. So, are you suggesting that instead of focusing purely on demographics, political parties should concentrate more on outreach that addresses specific issues like the economy and social values? Exactly. Parties can no longer assume automatic loyalty based on demographics. Instead, understanding why individuals vote, considering socioeconomic and cultural factors, should be prioritized, as evidenced by changing Latino and Asian voting patterns. An interesting point about Asian voting patterns, which have seen noteworthy shifts, particularly regarding education policies and public safety, aligning more with Republican stances post-COVID. True, and whites, though still the majority group, present diverse inclinations based on education and geography. Non-college educated whites in rural areas continue to strengthen Republican strongholds, but shifts in suburban areas spark competitiveness. The key takeaway seems clear. Political allegiances are fluid, and predicting future elections based solely on demographics is inadequate. What would you say about the role of gerrymandering and political strategies in this evolving landscape? Gerrymandering undeniably maneuvers power dynamics, accentuating the need for tactical engagement beyond demographics. As parties adapt strategies in response to emerging voting behaviors, understanding nuanced demographic landscapes remains crucial. As we conclude, there's consensus that while demography plays an essential role, it's not the destiny. Differences in beliefs, identities, and socioeconomic conditions culminate into complex voting decisions. Any final thoughts? In the arena of American politics, unpredictable is the new norm. Political agility and responsiveness to the diverse values and priorities of voters will shape future successes. Thank you for this enlightening discussion. So, building on what we discussed earlier about the shifting dynamics within minority voting patterns, it's crucial to acknowledge how deeply personal experiences influence these shifts. Take Latino voters, for example. The presumption that this group leans heavily Democratic is now more myth than fact. Recent elections highlighted that Republicans have made significant inroads by tapping into values such as entrepreneurship, religious beliefs, and family values that resonate well with certain segments. Absolutely, and it's not just about the values, but how these parties communicate their stances and policies. Unfortunately, both parties sometimes fall into the trap of approaching minority groups with a one-size-fits-all message. This approach often neglects the diverse internal dynamics and priorities that exist within these groups. Instead, culturally nuanced and geographically specific outreach can make a significant difference. For instance, the economic issues facing Latino communities in Texas might differ markedly from those in Florida. Precisely, and we've seen similar patterns with Black voters. While traditionally a strong Democratic base, there's been growing disquiet. Some perceive the Democratic Party as taking their vote for granted, while the Republican Party's outreach in economic empowerment and school choice has started to resonate. Again, it's a reminder of the complexities within these communities and the dangers of making broad assumptions. And there's also the factor of generational differences. Younger voters, both Latino and Black, often have different priorities and issues compared to older generations. Take climate change and social justice. For instance, issues that younger voters are deeply passionate about and which don't always align neatly with existing party platforms. So while demographics are a starting point, the actual issues driving voter behavior often cut across these lines. Absolutely, it's about delving deeper into the psychographics rather than just demographics. Understanding motivations, values, and issues that cut across these demographic lines is vital. Furthermore, the rise of digital media has given these groups more autonomy in shaping and disseminating their narratives, bypassing traditional gatekeepers and enabling a form of direct engagement politics. Yes, and this empowerment through digital platforms cannot be understated. It not only changes how these groups engage with political content, but also platforms them as influencers within their own communities. For example, social media campaigns have been pivotal in mobilizing young voters and addressing specific local issues that might otherwise be overlooked by national campaigns. And let's not forget the power of grassroots movements. These movements often spring from within communities and are led by people who intimately understand the unique challenges and needs of their peers. Both parties could benefit from investing more in these movements, not just as campaign tools, but as a means of maintaining long-term engagement and trust within communities. Exactly. Beyond just electoral cycles, a committed engagement with these communities can foster deeper trust and connectivity. Politicians need to show sustained presence and participation, addressing these communities' concerns in a meaningful way, beyond just rhetoric. Building trust is a continuous process that spans beyond just policy promises. It's about genuine interactions and delivering on commitments. Indeed, it's about being accountable and present in those communities consistently. All this ties back to the necessity for both parties to rethink their strategies continuously. The fast-evolving demographic and cultural landscapes make it critical not to rest on outdated assumptions about voter behavior. And perhaps more than anything, the key takeaway here is that diverse communities are not monoliths. Tailored, thoughtful, and ongoing engagement can shift the political landscape in unexpected ways, rewarding those willing to listen and learn with more nuanced and effective outreach approaches.